With the start of the next season a little over a month from now, the NBA will soon have the chance to start implementing all changes related to what will be the first ever full regular season during a pandemic. While that's good news for the league and basketball fans, maybe a headache for players and front offices. Most players will probably be excited to return to the court after months without playing, but things might be more unpredictable than usual for those who have an expiring contract or are not a lock to remain with their current teams in the future. But with a relatively weak free agent class and the financial uncertainty regarding the future of the league, most transactions and roster updates should come via trade. And while trade rumors tend to involve most players, there's one whose name may currently be the most appealing in the market for teams looking to take a step forward closer to contention. New Orleans guard Jrue Holiday. Welcome to Courtside. Today, we're taking a look at why Holiday is being chased by multiple teams and what it would take for a trade to take place. Holiday may not be a player most people think about when asked about their 5 favorite guards in the league. However, there's a case to be made that he could be as valuable to a championship contender as any other all-star guard, and there are various reasons for that. Over the last 3 seasons, the guard has taken his production to the next level, increasing what were already solid averages to provide his team with excellent numbers on most categories, including career highs in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks per game just 2 seasons ago. But as good as he's been on offense, his play on the defensive end may have been even better during that period. In 2018 and 19, he was named to the all-defensive first and second teams, respectively. And while he wasn't selected to any of the 2020 teams, multiple stars expressed their disappointment when they learned about it. Some of them, such as Damian Lillard and Kevin Durant, even called him the best defensive player in the league, with Durant also recalling how hard it was for him to play against Holiday in the 2018 playoffs. So, considering he's able to put around 20 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1.5 steals on a daily basis, while also defending the opposing team's best perimeter player, it's safe to say Jrue is arguably one of the most underrated players in the league. Of course, the way players are judged in today's league doesn't only have to do with the way they perform on the court, as team success is also part of the equation. So the fact that he's played in a small market like New Orleans for the better part of his career and has been part of teams that have finished with a winning record only twice in 11 seasons has certainly harmed his reputation as a player. Still, most of the teams he's been part of weren't properly built to win too many games. But despite that, he always remained committed to the franchise he's played for, never demanding a trade or misbehaving. He's always been professional regardless of the situation he was put into, and that could have been one of the reasons why he won the Teammate of the Year award last season. But now his situation is different than in previous years, and teams in the search for a player that could take them to the next level are already in conversations with the Pelicans to determine whether a trade can be possible. The team hasn't been actively shopping Holiday. After all, he's still one of their best players, but there are a couple of reasons why New Orleans could be interested in moving the guard to a different team. And knowing all the positives he can bring to any organizations, multiple candidates have emerged as possible trade destinations. One of those reasons is the Pelicans' current timeline. After spending 7 years trying to build around Anthony Davis and failing to develop a winning culture, the team was forced to go into a rebuild after AD demanded a trade. At first, Davis's request was demoralizing to the franchise, but after being able to draft Zion Williamson and receiving a package of young and talented players in exchange for their former star, New Orleans suddenly finds itself in a situation where building for the future seems like a better option than trying to rush a playoffs appearance. That's not to say the Pelicans couldn't make the playoffs. If the last few weeks before the season suspension showed us something, it's that they can win games when healthy, and Holiday would certainly help them keep doing that. However, he turned 30 this year, making him at least 7 years older than most of the team's young core. In other words, by the time Zion, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball are playing at their best, he could be around 35 years old and presumably on the decline. That would take valuable years away from him in which he could help a different team compete for a championship instead of waiting for younger players to develop. But even if he didn't care about that, he could be stopping those same athletes from reaching their peak. Young players need the ball in their hands to improve on the court. They need to make mistakes and learn what works and what doesn't for them. But that's something difficult to do when a talented and already established guard is the one in charge of making a lot of plays. It's not unrealistic to think the Pelicans would like to see more of Lonzo as the primary ball handler or more of Ingram and Josh as shot creators. So with that in mind, trading Holiday would be a logical move. And then aside from that, moving him would also make sense from a financial standpoint. If they want to keep Ingram, and they should, they will need to offer him a contract extension that will leave them without cap space for next season. That means the team won't be able to add any impactful players via free agency. Then, he could opt into his player option after next season, and if the Pelicans also want to extend Ball and Hart, they may be left without cap space once again, making it very difficult to upgrade the roster if necessary. In short, trading Holiday is an option that makes a lot of sense. However, it's not necessarily one the team will take. If the Pelicans believe their current roster is already good enough to make a playoff run, or that coach Stan Van Gundy will be able to unlock the full potential of his players, keeping Jrue as a veteran that's able to score behind Zion and Ingram while also creating plays for his teammates sounds like a good idea. If none of the proposals they receive in exchange for him are convincing enough, keeping him is also the best alternative. However, it's unlikely they won't receive at least 1 or 2 offers worth consideration. After all, it's probable teams will be more interested in making trades than in signing free agents once the offseason gets going, given there won't be too many game-changing players looking for a new contract this time around. And among tradable assets, he could arguably be the best option, considering the Wizards are unlikely to part ways with Bradley Beal and that Chris Paul's age and contract may make it difficult making a trade for him. Holiday's the perfect candidate to become a contender's second or third option. His two-way game, professionalism, experience in the league, and the fact he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective make him the perfect option for teams that are a piece away from contention. On top of that, his contract is manageable enough for most teams to acquire it without having to give too much in exchange. But at the end of the day, the Pelicans will make a decision based on what they'll receive in return. Neither the team nor Holiday seems to be actively trying to get away from each other, but if the Pelicans could add a young player to complement their young core while also sending him to a team where he could compete for a championship, there's no reason to deny a trade. If that was the case, they could try to add someone like Karis LeVert or Andrew Wiggins, along with a few draft picks in return. Still, such a move would come with its own risks. Adding another young player with star potential could take them a step back, as they would need to develop more players who would still need the ball in their hands to reach their peak form. Also, adding a wing player could make things difficult for Ingram on the court. So what could benefit New Orleans the most would probably be to send him to a team with cap space. That way, they could clear some space without risking damaging the chemistry of their players or having to worry about developing too many players. However, that option would also present an inconvenience. At the moment, most of the teams with available cap space are at the bottom of the standings. That means a potential trade would send Holiday to a situation that could be even more difficult than the one in New Orleans. Also, most of those teams don't have too many assets the Pelicans would find attractive, aside from a few lottery picks. Of course, there are still a couple of interesting options the team can evaluate. The Hawks, for example, could send the sixth pick along with a couple of young players while also helping the Pelicans to clear cap space. And with Holiday on board to help Trae Young, John Collins, and Clint Capella, there's a chance they turn into a playoff contender in the East. Then there's the Heat, who are seemingly in conversations for every available star player there is. They could offer New Orleans a similar package that the Hawks, while also adding Holiday to a championship contender. In short, there are a lot of options for New Orleans to explore. And while they don't have to send Jrue to a team with a good situation, that seems like the least they could do for the longest tenured Pelican. Altogether, the coming offseason could be a very difficult one to manage for players and front offices. But even then, Holiday and the Pelicans could emerge as the biggest winners if they find a situation that works for both parts. The guard could immediately help a lot of teams, and with reports suggesting there are at least 10 organizations already interested in acquiring him, it's safe to say New Orleans should receive multiple good offers for who may end up being the best available player in the trade market. But now, what do you think? You think the Pelicans would be better by trading Holiday away? And if they do, where would you like to see him playing? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.